Hare Krishna. Good morning. Hare Krishna, good morning. Today is the Appearance Day of commemoration of the Appearance Day of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. So I prepare a lot of material. I'm not sure where I will go. There is a different place where we could go. One place is to have a class from Srila Prabhupada on the appearance festival of his spiritual master. That will be something we could do that will be fun. And otherwise, another thing we could do, I can read different biography and speak about what I know about Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. Since it's just you and I, Parampara, do you have any request, desire?
I don't have any particular request or desire. I'm glad to be reminded and remember Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur.
Okay, so and in the menu I gave, okay, so I will read a short biography then first to start us. First, I will start with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Pranam mantras. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Ti Namini. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter of His lotus feet. Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kritakdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Daine Prabhave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitya Das. It's a name that Gaur Kishore Das Babaji gave to Bimal Prashad at the time. He was already named Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati because his erudition. So when he was at the university with his friends at South, he started to name it, and that name stayed with him. But Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitya Das was the name that was given by Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. So I offer my respectful obeisances to Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitya Das, another name for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati, who is favored by Srimati Radharani and with the notion of transcendental mercy and the deliverer of the science of Krishna. Madhuryo Shvala Premadya Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Shri Goraka Una Shakti Vigrahaya Namostuti. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the personified energy of Sri Chaitanya's mercy, who delivered devotional service which is enriched with conjugal love of Sri Radha and Krishna, coming exactly in the line of revelation of Srila Rupa Goswami. Namaste Gauravani Srimurtaye Dinatarine Upanuga Virudapa Siddhanta Dvanta Arine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who are the personified teaching of Lord Chaitanya. You are the deliverer of the fallen soul. You do not tolerate any statement which is against the teaching of devotional service enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami. So two of his pranam mantra indicate that he's a direct follower of Srila Rupa Goswami. So we are all Rupanugas. And from the sixth Goswami, we receive so much through the disciplic succession. And of course, through Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada came to the West to give us Srila Rupa Goswami because of the order of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. So I will start with a short biography because not so long ago it was his disappearance day in December, and I gave a class and I really stated with his biography. So Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur was born in 1873 in Jagannath Puri. And he was the son of Kedarnath Dat, also known as Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was the magistrate, and he was the head of the Jagannath temple there. And at that period, like the period that before the conception and birth of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was feeling like, I have only two hands and a head, and there is so much to do to spread Krishna consciousness, to spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya. And at that time, in many places in India, the mission of Lord Chaitanya had been corrupted, a lot of corruption, a lot of farce, a lot of cheapness, a lot of sajya, many sects that were kind of degrading what Lord Chaitanya had given. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he prayed very ardently. He prayed to the Lord, please send me someone to help. Please send me someone to help. I want to glorify Lord Chaitanya. I want Lord Chaitanya's mission to be respected among intellectual people. I want Lord Chaitanya's missions to be spread all over the world. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it is said that he was praying for a ray of Vishnu. And when his seventh child, I don't think it was necessarily son, but when his seventh child, he had 13 or 14 children. It depends which biography you read. But when his seventh child was born, right away, you could see from the sign of the baby, from the effulgence of the baby, and from the fact that the baby's umbilical cord was wrapped around like a Brahman thread, which means he was really a Brahman from birth. He didn't need to be. Brahman are not from birth. It's not from Jalma ever. It's always from a guna and karma. From the qualities of a person and from their activities, we can establish someone is a Brahman. However, from the birth of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, right away, it was obvious that he was that special person that Bhaktivinoda Thakur had been praying for. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur could recognize that right away. And so when Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur was 6 months old, which is, like July. When he was 6 months old, it was the Ratha Yatra festival in Puri. And in Puri, millions of people are gathering to see Lord Jagannath on his carts, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. And so in Puri, there was a big festival, the big festival of the Ratha Yatra, that gather people from all over India, really millions of people. Even now, it's with the Kumbh Mela, it's one of the biggest gathering on earth. So in Puri, there was Jagannath Ratha Yatra, and the cart is whimsical in many ways. The cart is whimsical. It's not whimsical. It's under the control of Lord Jagannath. Lord Jagannath is the one who controls the cart. And there's many pastime we can read about that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita with Lord Chaitanya and Lord Jagannath having their pastime where the cart doesn't move. No matter, they even bring elephants to try to move the cart, and the cart doesn't move. They bring the strongest man, elephant, everything, the cart doesn't move, because when Lord Jagannath doesn't want to move, the cart doesn't move. There is no human or anything that can make the cart move. So in that very specific Ratha Yatra of the birth year of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, the cart came to a halt in front of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house. And people were trying to pull and push and all that, and he wasn't moving. And at that time, Bhagavati, with the wife, very saintly wife of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, she understood something, and also she took advantage. She wanted to give her son, her seventh child, her son, very special, Bimal Prasad. She wanted to give the child to offer the child to Lord Jagannath. So she came out of the house. She wasn't at the festival. It's not proper for a woman to be at the festival. So she came out of the house with a 6-month-old baby, and she presented the baby in front of Lord Jagannath. She even climbed the cart. She went up the cart and she put the baby as an offering to Lord Jagannath on the cart. And just at that time, Lord Jagannath bestowed upon the baby the blessing of one of his garlands. So he put one of his garlands, again confirming for Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srimati Bhagavati that this was a very special Vaishnav, a great Vaishnav has taken birth and was now on earth with us to help the mission of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And after Bhagavati left the cart, then the cart was moving again. So we can see a Lord Jagannath at a special pastime with these special devotees. And so by the time Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur was a toddler, like 3-4-year-old, he was during the mango season. He was outside, and was mango everywhere. It smelled so good. And in India, it's not like here. Mangoes become green, and maybe they're ripe, but in India they're ripe on the fruit, and they are full of nectar, and it's like amazing mangoes. So the little Bimal Prasad, he was next to a mango tree, and there was a mango that was low, like hanging low, and he grabs the mango, and it was so like open and it's juicy, and he ate the mango. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur came to him, and he saw that the child had done that, and he knew that the child is very special, and it's my responsibility to train him. So he said, Bimal Prasad, did you offer the mango? And Bimal, as soon as he realized, oh, I didn't offer this mango, he felt really a pang of pain. I stole from the Lord, I stole from Lord Jagannath a mango without recognizing that that mango belonged to him, without even offering him to him first, to offer the best of everything I have to Krishna. This is what I want to do with my heart, because Bimala Prasad, he was a devotee at heart from the time of his birth. So he realized that, oh God, what I have done. And he made a vow from that moment on to never eat a mango again. And he kept that vow throughout his life. Even when his disciple, when he became like someone, many people were taking shelter of him and accepting him as their spiritual master, he continued to not eat mango. And of course, the mango is a nectar of fruit. It's like a king of fruits. It's like the most relishable thing that one can eat in Orissa or in Bengal. And so his disciples were always trying to sneak mango because it was the best they could offer to their guru. And Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur never moved from his clarity. His clarity is that I made an offense to the Lord. Devotees are very, very keen to feel that, to really deeply feel when they offend the Lord. Of course, the Lord is never offended. The Guru and the Lord are never offended. However, the devotee himself feels that. Like I'm reading the autobiography of Saint Therese of Avila, and she feels that so strongly. She constantly feels that any of her thoughts, anything inside her is offending to the Lord. And at the same time, she feels that she also feels like, oh, the Lord loves me unconditionally. So that's a kind of a contradiction in advanced devotees. Devotees who are really absorbed in serving the Lord. There is that contradiction of feeling like they're offenders, they are fallen, that nothing they do is pleasing to the Lord, and simultaneously feeling that the Lord is so merciful and have a special look and a special grace that they bestow upon them. So that's the interesting contradiction that they experience. So Bimal Prasad experienced that in a very young age, 3 or 4 year old. It depends what biography you read. And so that shows the high character of that child. By the time he was 7 years old, of course, sometimes children are 7, they barely know how to read. So Bimal Prasad, not only he knew how to read, but he was a chief editor of the Toshani, Vaishnav Toshani, the newsletter that his father was compiling, I think, once a month. So he was a chief editor. He was editing the writing of his father at 7 years old. And of course, his erudition didn't stop there. Very, very quickly, when he started to go to school, everyone was seeing that he was excellent in mathematics, astronomy, astrology. He was a walking encyclopedia. He was called a walking encyclopedia. And at one point, with his college friends, they created a boys' club, a boys' club of very erudite young men of, I think at that time he was Bengal, because he moved to Bengal. I can look at the biography. But he created that club. And all the members of that club, I think there were 12 young men, they all vowed never to marry, never to pass semen, and never to marry, to keep their brain very, very clean. And to keep, it's very, it's research and known that when a man loses semens, they also lose brain material. So because they wanted to keep themselves like erudite, very, very smart and sharp, they made that vow. And of the 12, he is only one who kept that vow as for life. For life, he kept that vow. And by 7 years old also, he received initiation from his father. So his father initiated in the holy name of the Lord. So and in the Nishanga mantra. So by 7 years old, he accepted initiation, he accepted the sacred thread, and that show again that his entire life was dedicated to the service of the Lord. There was no any contamination, any mundane, anything from the beginning to the end of the life of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. I'm going to go back to my notes because I could speak. So other aspect of his life that's really amazing is for 4 or 5 years, he chanted 30,000 names of the Lord. And I don't remember how many around that come to, but mainly that means for those many years, that's all he did. He was chanting and chanting and chanting. And he was doing that to prepare himself for his mission. And now I want to read a few things that Srila Prabhupada says about his spiritual master. This is from the Bhagavad Gita, it seems, preface. He said, in Los Angeles, many fathers and mothers used to come to see me to express their feelings of gratitude for my leading the Krishna consciousness movement throughout the entire world. Some of them said that it is greatly fortunate for the American that I have started the Krishna consciousness movement in America, but actually the original father of this movement is Lord Krishna himself, since it was started a very long time ago, but is coming down to human society by disciplic succession. If I have any credit in this connection, it does not belong to me personally, but it is due to my eternal spiritual master, His divine grace, Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Parivakacharya, Astota Sata Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. And he said, fortunately, both, he was speaking about his family of birth, like his father, Srila Prabhupada's father was a pure devotee. So Prabhupada was born in a family of Vaishnavas that gave everything to Krishna. And he said, fortunately, both our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such a family. By the grace of the Lord, and both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our life. Later on, we met by the order of transcendental system. So by the order of transcendental system, the Srila Prabhupada was led to Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. And Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he did take up the mission of his father. His father has a few mission to reestablish Lord Chaitanya's, serious line in India when everything was corrupted. And also Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he had a vision. He was the first one to have a vision of an international society for Krishna consciousness, to preach outside of India, to see American, Russian, Chinese, African all together come to Mayapur and sing. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a beautiful vision when he saw like the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. So he gave those two missions to his son. And his son, because he was such an erudite and so respected around highly intellectual people, and because he was such a Brahman, then he was a lion go. It was called a lion go, that everyone was listening to him. And through Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, Lord Chaitanya's mission was in good hand and re-established as a credible, serious, noble mission and path of self-realization. Because before that, it wasn't respected. So now I want to read, because we spoke about all that not so long ago on Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur Disappearance Day. And I want to read some of the offering, because today is for Srila Prabhupada, is the Vyasa Puja of his spiritual master. And I want to read some of his offering. So Srila Prabhupada, some of his disciples I think in the 60s or early 70s, they found in the libraries, they found some of the Harmonist. Harmonist was a newspaper that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur started. And that's so amazing that his disciple, I think it was in London, they found in a library, they found an old Harmonist. And in that old Harmonist, there was published one of the offering that Srila Prabhupada wrote and directly offered to his spiritual master. And so Srila Prabhupada said, and then in 1936, it's a long history, during his Vyasa Puja Day, whatever I study about our relationship with my Guru Maharaj, I express in this poetry. And since that day, my God brother used to call me poet. And Guru Maharaj also very much appreciated this poetry. Now, somehow or other, you have found it. So that he speaks to his disciple because he found it in a library. I thought the poetry is lost, but I do not know how it was found out by some of our disciples. So that's really amazing. Like we see how Krishna is acting so much in the life of his devotees and his pure devotees, and how he was overseeing Srila Prabhupada's movements so much. I think it was found out in the London Museum or somewhere else by Guru Das, They had a stock of harmonists, and from the harmonist my Guru Maharaj paper, this poetry was found. Otherwise, I thought it was lost. So anyhow, anyway, this poetry is adore, adore ye all, the happy day, bless and even sweeter than May. So I heard that the month of May is very pleasing in the Western countries. So I compare the happiness of this day with the May Day. They call May Day. So poem. So adore, adore you all is the name of the poem. That was a Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Vyasa Puja offering of 1935, written by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, dedicated to his spiritual master. So I'm going to read it and maybe we can comment on it. Adore, adore you all, the happy day, bless and heaven, sweeter than May. When he appeared at Puri, the holy place, my Lord and Master is divine grace. O my Master, the evangelic angel, giver thy light, light up thy candles. We can see Prabhupada's influence by this Christian background and education, the way he phrased thy. Struggle for existence, some human race, the only hope is divine grace. Missless we are, all going astray. Save us, Lord, our fervent prayer. Wander that ways, to turn our face, adore thy feet, our divine grace. Forgotten Krishna, we fallen souls, praying most heavy, the illusion stole. Darkness around all entrance, the only hope is divine grace. Message of service thou hast brought, a healthy life as Chaitanya wrote. Unknown to all, it's full of grace. That's your gift, your divine grace. Absolute is sentient, thou hast proved, and personal calamity, thou hast moved. These give us a life, anew and fresh, worthy thy feet, your divine grace. Had you not come who had told the message of Krishna, forceful and bold? That's your right, you have the mice. Save me, O a fallen, your divine grace. The line of service as drawn by you is pleasing and healthy like morning dew. The oldest of all, but in new dress, miracle done, your divine grace. Hare Krishna. So we learned so much about Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur in his poetry. Srila Prabhupada said, I put everything I knew. Whatever I study about our relationship with my Guru Maharaj, I express in this poetry. And since that time, my godbrother called me Kavi. So, like the blessed day when he took birth and appeared on earth in Puri, that holy place. That evangelic angel, evangelic means like we can see Prabhupada is writing with his Christian background. Evangelic angel is, of course, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati only desire was to preach, nothing else, to transform the world, to re-spiritualize the world, to expand the mission of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, to expand the mission of the Rupa Goswami, all the six Goswami, to expand the mission of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. Give us that light, light up thy candles. So you give us that light, and when we receive the light, then our candle is lit up, and then we can light also a candle. And then struggle for existence, a human race. The only hope is divine grace. So this material existence is full of struggle. It doesn't stop. It's not like sometimes people say, oh, now that I'm going to practice Krishna consciousness, the struggle are going to stop. This is a misconception. The struggle, the challenges, the demand of our life doesn't stop. But by the grace of Guru and Krishna, we can overcome them. We can rise above them. We can stop identifying with them, stop resonating with them. Mistless, we are all going astray. Save us, Lord, our fervent prayer. So we pray to be saved because it's so easy to be misled. It's so easy to derail from the path of devotional service, of love for God. It's so easy to forget and again get entangled. So we pray with our fervent prayer. Wander that ways to turn our face, either thy feet, your divine grace. So that's a wonder that we have the feet of the pure devotees. And if we turn our face towards Srila Prabhupada and carrying all the disciplic succession and the mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, all we need to do is to turn our face. When we struggle, when we feel lost, when we go astray, turn back. We can always turn our face. Forgotten Krishna, we fallen souls, paying most heavy the illusion toll. Oh, darkness around, all untrace. The only hope is divine grace. So Srila Prabhupada going more deeply with the calamity, the biggest calamity of the fallen soul, and how we are paying such a price. And that's really something to meditate on, in terms of radical responsibility, to meditate on paying most heavy the illusion toll, to pay that heavy price of forgetting Krishna or wanting to lord over material energy, wanting to be separated from Krishna, wanted, like allowing that envy of Krishna to take us away from him. We pay a very heavy toll. So Srila Prabhupada said, paying most heavy is the illusion toll. So that toll is illusion. Hey, Lakshmi Priya Prabhu, Hare Krishna, welcome. We are reading a Vyasa Puja offering that Srila Prabhupada wrote in 1935 to his spiritual master, because today is Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur's appearance day. So we are going slow, reading a poetry that Srila Prabhupada wrote to his spiritual master on the day of his Vyasa Puja. So
thank you for updating me.
Forgetting Krishna, we fallen souls, paying most heavy the illusion toll. Darkness around, all untrace. So I love that part because Prabhupada brings so much nuance that the illusion toll, darkness around, all untrace, that the illusion is so thick that we cannot even trace the origin or the end of that darkness. The only hope is divine grace. So the only hope is taking shelter of his spiritual master. And it's, his poetry, of course, it comes from the humility of Srila Prabhupada. That was the great Vaishnav, not all advanced devotee saints. That's what they do. They show a unique, deep humility. Like Saint Teresa of Avila, reading what she writes, she constantly feels so fallen that she have offended the Lord, that she is vain, that she is covered over, that she have no love for God and all that. So that's humility. The more advanced the devotee is, the more fallen it seems to be. And Srila Prabhupada see himself like that. Darkness around all untrace, only hope is divine grace. Message of service, thou hast bought a healthy life as Chaitanya wrote. I'm not sure what the word wrote means, but if someone knows here, you can let me know. WROUGHT. Maybe I can research on the internet because I should have done that. Archaic past and particle of work. Archaic past and particle of work.
I kind of understood it like it's brought about, or it's like it's brought about this, or something like that.
Thank you. So message of service though has brought a healthful life, as Chaitanya wrote. So he goes into the darkness, misled, all going astray. And we pray with favor, we turn our face to the spiritual master. We have forgotten Krishna, we are fallen, we paying the most heavy toll, the illusion toll is so heavy, we are paying the price of getting astray, and all that darkness around that untrace. And the spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur for Srila Prabhupada said, you bring the message of service that you brought, and a healthful life. I love that word that it shows, healthful. It's such a healthful life because everything is healthy in Krishna consciousness. There's every aspect of our life. As soon as we turn to the spiritual master, as soon as we take shelter of the spiritual master, everything that's brought to us by the spiritual master through what was brought about by Lord Chaitanya is become healthful, that there is nothing to throw away. Everything become healthy for us. For what? For the health of our spiritual self. So it's unknown to all, it's full of breath. So like breathing. So in that healthful life, as Chaitanya wrote, unknown to all, it's full of breath. I'm in awe and reverence on the deep meaning of every word that Srila Prabhupada chose at that time to glorify the spiritual master. How concise, precise, and eloquent this poetry is. And whatever Srila Prabhupada expressed in one word, I probably will need many, many paragraphs to try to start to even fathom the depths of meaning. Unknown to all, it's full of breath. To your gift, your divine grace. Absolutely sentient thou hast proved, and personal calamities thou hast moved. So Srila Prabhupada often say that his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he will repeat those two stanzas from his poetry, and he was so pleased with it. He felt so seen, understood, and in harmony with his disciple words. He really saw like, these disciples have understood my mission. Absolutely sentient thou has proved. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, his main follower, let's say, is the people he was preaching to were Brahmins. And Brahmins were lost in Mayavadi philosophy of oneness. And oneness means denying the Lord that he has senses. And Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, it's not really accessible to us because he was really preaching to the higher class of society in India. Those educated Brahmins who knew the Veda, the Vedanta Sutra, were born, knowing this knowledge, and were also having the effect of Kali that delusioned them, and through Sankaracharya's philosophy being led astray from the path by Mayavadi impersonalist philosophy. So that was his mission. It was his main mission. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we look at how he had two very different paths. One also mission. One was to reestablish Lord Chaitanya's mission and stop all the crazy misunderstanding and the farce that people were bringing bhakti as something very cheap, and that wasn't very respectable, and then bring it to the West So Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, by the time he came, Bhaktivinoda Thakur already had destroyed all that sahaja, like those cheap imitation that were really staining bhakti. So he had done that. However, now the people that were following a respectful path or were respected by society were the personalists. And that's where Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur became a lion. He roared to show the personalists that they are offenders by saying that the Lord doesn't have any senses, because it's a nirguna. It means nirguna, it doesn't have any quality. Nir means no, and guna qualities, that the Lord have no quality. And the true meaning in a Veda is that he have no material qualities, but those Brahman to prove their theory, they say nirguna means it doesn't have any senses, it doesn't have any quality. And that's offensive. That's very offensive to say that. Because like even one of us, if we have a friend and someone else comes and say, oh, your friend doesn't exist, your friend doesn't have any taste, your friend doesn't have any quality, your friend doesn't have any beauty, your friend just doesn't exist, it's just an idea, it's just a concept, or it's just an energy. Well, it's offensive, it's very offensive. So Prabhupada cut that from his spiritual master. That was so the core of his mission, and Bhaktisiddhanta was so pleased. Absolutely sentient, though, as proof. Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur has proven that again and again. He have defeated so many arguments. He was victorious with thousands, 10,000 of Brahmins who were all very proud of their erudition. He defeated them. He had a big debate and he defeated them, and understanding that Vaishnav is superior to Brahman and the real Brahman is a Vaishnav. So impersonal calamity, that's a calamity we are speaking about, though as move. So he moves that calamity and he reestablished Lord Chaitanya in the science of Bhakti Yoga, like that. This gives us a life anew and fresh. Worship that fits you. So even Srila Prabhupada, he was born in a Vaishnava family, but in a sense he was disenchanted because he had seen so much cheating in the name of Vaishnavism that he had like, this is not really what I want. And he was disenchanted, disheartened. And then like, this gives us life anew and fresh. So when he met Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he didn't want to go because his friend was saying, come. And Prabhupada was saying, no, I have seen all those sadhus, I have seen all those Vaishnavas, I'm not interested in it. But his friend insisted, and he dragged him. Prabhupada said, he dragged me, and his friend dragged him. And then Prabhupada, like the fresh and new, that's what he experienced. Lord Chaitanya is in good hand. So this gives us a life anew and fresh, because remember, Srila Prabhupada was a Vaishnava, and because he was probably tarnishing, like his life was tarnished because there was no place where his Vaishnavism could be really expressed and fresh and new. Give it a life fresh and new. And also another meaning to that, I believe, is Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati, or later on he will say that in his poetry. Had you not come who had told the message of Krishna forceful and bold? So Prabhupada really sees that if Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur didn't come, there was no chance for that message to be taken down through the disciplic succession into humankind. Had you not come who had told the message of Krishna forceful and bold? So Prabhupada was hopeless that someone else could bring it. So here he's expressing that. He's expressing that you were our only hope, and that's why you can. And that's your right. You have the mess. Save me, have fallen your divine grace. So here I see like Srila Prabhupada in his lecture, when he lectured on Vyasapuja, there is about 3, we can find 3 lectures on YouTube of Prabhupada Vyasapuja. And he doesn't speak about the details of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. He speaks more about the mission and the vision. And he explained how Nitya Siddhas, that and Nitya Lila. He explained both about Nitya Siddha and Nitya Lila. So Nitya means eternal, and Siddha means liberated, and Nitya Lila means eternal pastime. And Srila Prabhupada said, Lord Chaitanya's pastime are eternal, Lord Krishna's pastime are eternal, and they are eternally manifested in the material world. Similarly, Nitya Siddhas, the eternally liberated souls, their pastime is also Nitya Lila, eternally manifested in a material world, meaning that they constantly travel from one universe to the next, and they carry the mess. That's your right. You have the mess. They carry the mess. They are messenger from the Lord. They are always liberated. Nitya Siddha means they are never contaminated. It's not like they need to, climb out of the 3 modes of material nature, climb out of the contaminated state, climb out of the conditioning like we do. They are not conditioned state. And so they have the mess. And Srila Prabhupada also, we could say the same. That's your right. You have the mess. Save me a fallen, your divine grace. In fact, like Yamuna Devi, she sings that song, and I know when she sing it on behalf of Srila Prabhupada towards the spiritual master, but she also sing it to Srila Prabhupada. So, and then the last verse, it's Astakam, 8 verses. The line of service as drawn by you is pleasing and healthy like morning dew. So is bringing Lord Chaitanya line of service, and is drawn by him, and it's so healthy and so pleasing. And we are so fortunate. We can all look at ourselves every single day. Look ourselves, how fortunate we are to have had connection with Srila Prabhupada, connection with this divine way of life that's so easily bring us to love of God and closer to God and Krishna, and make our life divine, and make our life purposeful, make our life a life of surrender and a life of divine service. The line of service as drawn by you is pleasing and healthy like morning dew. I like in the summer, I go early in the morning, take a walk in San Pilasco, and all the grass is full of dew. And I'm bare feet in the dew and it feels so clean and beautiful, the dew. The oldest of all, but in new dress, miracle done, your divine grace. So that line is the oldest of all, but in new dress, because Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, it was so revolutionary. He opened ashram, and he gave initiation, and he was even having women, like taking up initiation, and he was riding in a car, and he was sending his disciple by airplane. Before that, everything was like stuck and stifled under Brahmanical rules. A sannyas cannot fly, and you should only go by bare feet, and you should, he was wearing a watch. So Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he pierced to that to bring alive Lord Chaitanya's mission, Srila Rupa Goswami's teaching to the modern world in new dress, but nothing new. Like Srila Prabhupada, he continues that. He came and he accepted women in ashram, and he has his woman preaching, and he did so many revolutionary things, Srila Prabhupada. He came to the West, he gave Brahmanical initiation to Chandalas, and lowest, lower than the lowest. In fact, the lowest in a Vedic paradigm is the dog eater. That's the lowest. in the Vedic paradigm. So we are lower than the lowest in the Vedic paradigm because we are cow eaters. So Srila Prabhupada, he was so revolutionary. He gave bhakti, he gave Brahman initiation, Nam initiation, Brahman initiation, Sannyas initiation to lower than the lowest of the lowest. So the oldest of all, but in new dress. Miracle done, your divine grace. Hare Krishna. I'm going to stop here. I have more material and more I can say, but I feel complete, and I like to hear if any of you would like to share something you really like about Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, or if you like to share pastime, or share if you have a question about Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, anything that is of interest to you. Any comment, question? It can be on Facebook or on Zoom. If it's on Facebook, you can put it in a comment. If it's on Zoom, you can just unmute yourself. Parampara?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, I think actually a few things, but I'm not sure. It's more like a conversation about initiation, actually. I don't know how much to get into that now, because when you mentioned Bhaktisiddhanta being initiated by his father, so that brought up, I was wondering, like, well, what was that initiation? Because then, Gorakishore Das Babaji is, in the Parampara, is recognized as Bhaktisiddhanta's spiritual master. So I was curious about that, and it brings up a lot of questions actually about initiation, and some things that I've kind of found or looked at about initiation, what Bhaktisiddhanta was doing, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur was doing, what Prabhupada was doing. But I'm not sure how much to get into all that, but I want to, but I'm not sure if this is the right format for that. But other than that, I was hearing that the poem of Prabhupada, and just hearing what you're sharing, just appreciating like the perfection of the Parampara, especially appreciating from Lord Chaitanya to us now, and just how it was prepared, kind of each step along the way, it was like prepared so perfectly, like from after Lord Chaitanya to giving initiation to whatever Muslims, or even though they were like aristocratic families and things like that, still they weren't in the caste system or whatever, they weren't in the proper position, but they were still like very aristocratic people, very, very good quality.
They were born Brahman, so.
What's that?
They were born Brahman.
I was thinking about the Muslim.
Muslim.
Oh, they became Muslim. So, and then to go all the way down to the line to like, okay, well, maybe they were born Brahmin, or they're aristocratic families, nice families, to like, Prabhupada just taking like hippies and drug addicts and things like that, like you said, cow eaters, but like just how it was like that was prepared or arranged, gradually over through the Parampara. I wasn't and like to have the perfection in that, and also with like the the Christian English preaching of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta, and Prabhupada, how that was like there's like a perfection in that graduation, in the communication of the principles, like there's like a perfection there to like really meet us where we're at. So that's why I was appreciating hearing what you were sharing.
Yes, thank you. It's that that's where we can see divine divine organization, orchestration. Everything is divinely orchestrated, like Lord Buddha comes, Sankaracharya comes, so divinely orchestrated. Lord Chaitanya come after Madhavendra Puri, Shwara Puri, and then in a modern time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur started with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then Gaurkeshwar Das Babaji and Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. Everything is so, Lord Chaitanya, he really spoke and delivered, Prakashananda, Prakashananda Sarasvati and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and we have Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda was going door to door, and Lord Nityananda, he did deliver Jagannath Madai. And Jagannath Madai were like drunkard, they were meat eater, they were rapists, they were raping women and abusing their position as constable to cheat people. They were, they belong in jail, basically, and they were really the lowest of the lowest. And Lord Nityananda saves them. He begs the Lord, please save them. And that's why Lord Nityananda's position is so important, because Lord Nityananda is Adi Guru. And then all the line of disciplic succession come from that great mercy of Lord Nityananda. And then, okay, this was a foreshadowing, let's say, with Jagannath Madai. And then the rest of the line of the succession bring to like Srila Prabhupada, giving initiation, Brahman initiation even, to people that were, like old Jagannath Madai. And in a sense, if we were to realize that, we were to realize this is divinely orchestrated. Any moment, like, we can be proud, like, oh, we put together a course, we put together an organization, we put together a government, we put together train station. We can, like human being can be so proud of so many organizations or so many systems that they put in place. And we like if we really go deep and understand Krishna as a person, and all this expansion are also personal expansion. They are all people, they are all person, they have all personality. Then we also understand that those personality, they orchestrate every single minus aspect of how to fulfill the desire of the Lord, which is to enjoy with all his part and parcel and reclaim all the part and parcel back to Godhead. And yeah, it's like you're highlighting that, mystical aspect of how everything is orchestrated, prepared, and divinely, like step by step, brought up to life, and including like the commander of Lord Chaitanya's movements, which is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And what I was thinking to respond to your question is that when babies are born in the Catholic Church, they are baptized. Mm-hmm. And after they do their confession, how it's called?
Confirmation, I think?
No, they do something before the confirmation.
Oh, okay.
Communion. Their first communion, you do the first,
okay.
And after you do your confirmation. So in a Vedic system, children who are serious about spiritual life, they have a family guru. Like Srila Prabhupada was initiated in his childhood by his family guru too. However, confirmation, like when the adults come, and then specifically for Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur asked him, because, like also it's part of the divine arrangement of the plan that Gaurkeshwar Das Babaji is such an elevated soul, such a renunciate, such like he shows so much that we, part of our lineage that we need to understand too. And it was Krishna's arrangement that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur needed to accept initiation of Gaurkeshwar Das Babaji as part of the parampara. And, and my understanding is that from the time Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur accepted, and also in a Vedic time, initiation for most of, before Srila Prabhupada was Brahman initiation, the real initiation, of course, now the initiation starts with accepting transcendental knowledge. So if we look at that, it's Devyagyan. And also, like when you look at formal initiation, it says that the real initiation is a Brahman initiation, not a Nam initiation. But Srila Prabhupada, when he comes, he kind of gave us what we could take. So the acceptance of the vow, and that's when in our spiritual life really starts when we accept commitment to follow 4 regulative principles. Because before that, it's an animal life. So human life starts with accepting to follow the 4 regulative principles. And so Srila Prabhupada he knew we were not initiated in any way. He knew that we were completely attached to all the 4 pillars of sinful life. And so he created to make like the most important part of the formal initiation, those vows. And those vows like delineate, animal life from human life. And then to go further, then he started in 1968, the first Brahman initiation was in Montreal. When the 6 went to England, then the Prabhupada wanted to give them Brahman initiation. It's interesting because he knew that they were going to England, and in England there was so many Brahmins there. Because England had so much connection with India, there was way more Indian in England. So that's all I can say. And Bimala Prasad, he received from his father Nam, the holy name, and he received a Nishingadev mantra too.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I understood, or I thought that something like Bhaktivinoda Thakur removed the Brahmin threads from his disciples or something like that. Like he kind of like stopped that or something like that. And then Bhaktisiddhanta reestablished the Brahmin thread, and then Bhaktisiddhanta had separate initiations, Diksha or Harinam, and maybe Diksha or something like that. It's kind of.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with those things. So
Okay.
I won't say anything because it's not something I have read or studied or anything.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for your beautiful points. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear Gajendra Prabhu. We are going to end the class. Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, Aprimanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Have a nice day.